We talking rom-com, we talking action, we talking drama and movie classics. Whatever you want, yo, we have it. Cause we talking movies on the podcast. So I married a film critic. So I married a film critic. So I married a film critic. Hey honey, I just want to talk about the movie like casually. You don't have to bring up the cinematography. Honestly, let's just talk about like how the characters were fun. Married a film critic. So I married a film critic. So I married.
Welcome to So I Married a Film Critic. I'm your co-host Julia.
And I'm Barry the Film Critic. How you doing, everyone?
So this week, Barry and I decided to make a list of films that we would watch, and along with our producer. And so we each came up with a list, and now we have some direction, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm trying to say.
We were greatly lacking direction before.
So we have a list of about 12 films that we're going to eventually get to. And this week we decided to do one of my picks because after watching some horror movies and some really gross things, I needed a break. So this week we watched Before Sunrise from 1995 with Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy.
That's right. In this film, Ethan Hawke is a young American who is on a very long train ride from Budapest. He is heading to Vienna, which is where he's going to catch a plane and head back to the States. And while on the train, he meets a young student played by Julie Delpy. Ethan Hawke is playing Jesse. Julie Delpy is playing Celine. And Celine is leaving Budapest. Excuse me. She's just visited her grandmother, and she's heading back to Paris. While on the train together, Jesse and Celine strike up a conversation, and they have a remarkable amount of chemistry, a lot of things in common, and they both find each other to be sort of an old soul, and they make this really profound connection. So Jesse takes a real shot. As opposed to just getting off the train and saying, "Bye, it's nice to meet you," he runs up to her and says, "Hey, how about you get off the train with me in Vienna? I think we have a connection. I think let's keep this conversation. Let's have an adventure together." And Celine, to her own amazement, says, "Yes, let's do it." So they get off the train together, and the movie is basically about their time together.
I think this is Vienna.
Yeah.
You get off here, no?
Yeah, what a drag. I wish I met you earlier, you know? I really like talking to you.
Yeah, me too. It was really nice talking to you.
All right, I have an admittedly insane idea, but if I don't ask you this, it's just, it's gonna haunt me the rest of my life.
What?
I want to keep talking to you, you know? I have no idea what your situation is, but I feel like we have some kind of, connection, right?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, right. Well, great. So listen, here's the deal. This is what we should do. You should get off the train with me here in Vienna and come check out the town.
What?
Come on, it'll be fun. Come on.
What would we do?
I don't know. All I know is I have to catch an Austrian Airlines flight tomorrow morning at 9:30, and I don't really have enough money for a hotel, so I was just gonna walk around, and it'd be a lot more fun if you came with me. And if I turn out to be some kind of psycho, you just get on the next train. All right. Think of it like this. Jump ahead 10, 20 years, okay? And you're married. And only your marriage doesn't have that same energy that it used to have, You start to blame your husband. You start to think about all those guys you've met in your life and what might have happened if you picked up with one of them, right? Well, I'm one of those guys. That's me. So think of this as time travel from then to now. To find out what you're missing out on. See, what this really could be is a gigantic favor to both you and your future husband to find out that you're not missing out on anything. I'm just as big as loser as he is, totally unmotivated, totally boring, and you made the right choice and you're really happy.
Let me get my bag.
Yeah, so he says, I don't have any money to get a hotel, so I'm just going to walk around the city all night. And she says, okay.
Yeah. But, it's It's worth noting that this is 1995. This is Gen X. This is Ethan Hawke post-Reality Bites, which was supposed to be this movie that defined Gen X, and it absolutely did not. But this is that time when young people in America were all wearing those torn-up jeans and,
Are they a little bit grungy? Is that
very,
what you're trying
yes,
to say?
yes, sure. You just beat me to it. I mean, everybody looks like, a backup singer in Pearl Jam, and they all got unruly facial hair. But no, what it is, it's this bohemian spirit that I saw a lot of this, growing up during this time. This movie makes me very nostalgic for the 90s and my time as a college student because I knew a lot of people like this. I wasn't necessarily like Jesse, but I had a lot of roommates like him, and I had a lot of friends like him, and I, certainly was attracted to a lot of stuff that he was, record stores and good music and exotic French women.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So when I first saw this movie, I don't remember what year it was.
It's probably 2004 because I think I was saying, because you know what it was, the sequel was coming out. And I said, how about you watch the original before we go see this? So, there'd be some context there. So yeah, I showed it to you. And do you remember what you thought?
I think I did not like it. But to be fair, I was only 24, and in the movie, Celine is 23. But I have to say, I was not as, I don't know, well-versed, worldly, well-traveled as Celine is at 23. She is an old soul in this movie. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And Jesse isn't, although there's, he's obviously highly intelligent and really wants to be cultured and is seeking that, even though he has this cynicism that's kind of, I think you could even say to a degree it's weighing him down. And I think Celine kind of counterbalances that. And she's maybe one of the first people in his life to really address that. But we do learn over the course of the night that Jesse just survived this really horrible breakup and that he was basically going back to America feeling really defeated. And this encounter with Celine is it's obviously this thing that just rejuvenates everything about him.
Yeah. So I think that then when I watched it again, maybe this is the third time I've seen this movie.
I swear it's the second. I think it's the second, yeah.
But I like it so much more being older, I think, because you even asked me, you're like, didn't you ever have like an experience like this where you just like met somebody? And I don't think so. I don't think, not like this. I mean, I never would have gotten off a train with a stranger. That's for sure. I'm too stranger danger for that.
I had an experience like this. My flight from to college, and it was an overnight flight, and we caught two planes together. We left the plane and we sat and had coffee, and then we got on another plane together. And I asked the guy sitting next to her, hey, can I sit next to my sister? So we swapped, seats. And the two of us, I remember that one part, we stayed up. It was 3 a.m. We're talking about Sinatra and our passions and all this stuff. At one point, we fell asleep and we woke up in each other's arms. I mean, it was that kind of,
Yeah, and then you never heard from her again?
No, actually, what happened?
You're still pen pals.
No. And this is where I tell you. No, so we both land and my mother greets us. And, my mom shows up. It's just okay, Mom. It's this is not going to end in the romantic way I want it to. So we exchange information, and we do write each other for months and months. And by the time my birthday, because this was in August, and we wrote each other a lot. And by the time February came around, she told me in a letter that, hey, I got a new boyfriend. I'm like, oh yeah.
So you're like, okay, never.
That was into that. Bye, goodbye. But no, but we had that one night. Aww. We had that that romantic, youthful, adventure of possibilities.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad you had that. I think if I met somebody on a train or a plane,
you'd be like, "Are you crazy?" You would not be trusting.
I really wouldn't be. I'd be very cynical. But no, somebody like Jesse, or even
if you met someone like Ethan Hawke.
Yeah, I mean, let's
looking
be real.
like Ethan Hawke in 1995.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
But come on, and someone who's just they just have this chemistry that is. It's very evident.
Because I'll name drop for a second. We have a friend we met in college, my friend Zach. He's a lot like Jesse. if you met, the equivalent of Zach on a train.
Yeah, like somebody who's just really easy to talk to.
And you're going to have this adventure
Yeah.
in someplace you've never been before. I mean, it's pretty exciting.
No,
and
totally.
it's safe. It's you're around a lot of people. I don't know. Like I see this movie and I don't see anything creepy.
I don't see any danger
Yeah.
in the movie. I'm just talking about in real life, I would be very skeptical. Yeah,
Because you can make the point. I mean, this film could easily have turned into a thriller.
totally.
It could have become really dark. But no, the movie, even though Jesse is cynical, the movie's not cynical at all.
Yeah, no, it's not. It actually is very hopeful, and they're very sweet with each other, but they're also very vulnerable. I mean, the conversation turns that the script makes is so interesting to me because it's still so relevant, and there wasn't anything that they talked about that I felt was super dated.
Yeah.
Did you?
No, not at all. I mean, they go into a record store and I'm like, oh God, if only I could go into a record store. And they're going to concerts. It's like, oh, no one's wearing a mask. Okay. So obviously there's that aspect of the film that doesn't apply to 2020.
The conversations.
But the conversation, yeah, obviously, yeah. It's not steeped in pop culture. It's about existentialism. It's life. It's what are you going to do, defined by who your parents are.
Memories they have. Yeah.
But you know what? I don't think it really matters what generation you're born into. Look at my parents. There were these angry young May 68 people revolting against everything. The government, their conservative Catholic backgrounds. I mean, I was born not long after, and then my father went on to become the successful architect, and we began to travel all around the world while he built bridges and, towers and stuff. I mean, I really can't complain about anything. They love me more than anything in the world, and I've been raised with all the freedom they had fought for. And yet, for me now, it's another type of fight. We still have to deal with the same old shit, but we can't really know who or, what the enemy is.
I don't know if there really is an enemy, I mean, everybody's parents fucked them up. Rich kids' parents gave them too much, poor kids not enough. Too much attention, not enough attention. They either left them, they stuck around, taught them the wrong things, I mean, my parents are just these two people who didn't like each other very much, who decided to get married and have a kid. And they try their best to be nice to me.
Did your parents divorce?
Yeah, finally. They should have done it a lot sooner, but they stuck together for a while for the well-being of my sister and I. Thank you very much. I remember my mother once. She told me right in front of my father they were having this big fight, that he didn't really want to have me. That he was really pissed off when he found out that she was pregnant with me. That I was this big mistake. And I think that really shaped the way I think. I always saw the world as this place where I really wasn't meant to be.
It's so sad.
No, I mean, I eventually kind of took pride in it. Like my life was my own doing or something. Like I was crashing a big party.
Yeah, that's the way to see it. My parents, they're still married, and I guess they're very happy. But I just think it's an healthy process to rebel against everything that came before.
Yeah.
I've been wondering lately. Do you know anyone who's in a happy relationship?
Yeah, sure. I know happy couples. But I think they lie to each other.
Yeah. People can live their life as a lie. My grandmother, she was married to this man, and I always thought she had a very simple, uncomplicated love life. But she just confessed to me that she spent her whole life dreaming about another man she was always in love with. She just accepted her fate. It's so sad. And in the same time, I love the idea that she had all those emotions and feelings I never thought she would have had.
I guarantee you it was better that way. If she'd ever got to know him, I'm sure he would have disappointed her eventually.
How do you know? You don't know them.
Yeah, I know. It's just people have these romantic projections they put on everything, that's not based in any kind of reality.
Romantic projections?
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Romantic up there in the Ferris wheel. Oh, kiss me, the sunset. Oh, it's so beautiful.
All right. Tell me about your grandma. What were you saying about her?
No.
And we should get to the crux of it. I mean, this is a movie about two people who have a conversation that lasts the course of the movie. When this film came out, I did not see it in the theater, and I was warned by a couple friends of mine who did see it, and they said it was the most boring thing they'd ever seen. It was just about two people who walk and talk for 90 minutes. You don't want to see it. I saw it when it was on video cassette, and I was just enchanted by it. I loved this film the first time I saw it. I thought this is a perfect film. But on the one hand, it is like My Dinner with Andre, where they're walking. I mean, it's a conversation film.
Yeah.
You know, there are other characters they meet along the way, and those are really meaningful, interesting encounters that we could talk about. But really, this is a movie about two people having conversation. My pitch to anybody who says they want to see it or they're interested in it is that you're watching two people fall in love in real time.
Yeah.
And I think that's the magic of this movie.
Yeah, you definitely are. I mean, like there's that moment where they're in the record store in the listening booth, and you can just like feel that chemistry right there. And then there's a moment where they're on top of the Ferris wheel, and he's like, the sunset, the view, and she's like, you want to kiss me, don't you? And he's like, yes.
It's very romantic. I mean, there's that scene where they're talking about how Quakers, when they get married, they just stare at each other
for an hour.
And then, you know, the movie proceeds to make the point of we're basically watching these two people who are just constantly watching each other. They're very enamored with each other. They're taken with each other, even though they are seeing each other's flaws and each other's quirks. But if anything, it just kind of draws them in. They're intrigued by how interesting the other person is.
And I thought during the conversation, I think this time, I actually saw, I mean, we've seen the sequels, we should mention. And so we kind of know what happens after this. And you can see that build up even in this first movie where he talks about how he's just not sure about love. He's just not sure if he can give himself over to somebody like that. And if it's enough to be a husband, a father, like have that kind of settled life, because he is such a, I don't know, not like a gypsy, but you know, like he's just
a bohemian.
A bohemian.
Yeah.
So, and then she kind of lets loose about this like funny, well, it's supposed to be funny, but she's talking to her therapist, and she talks about like killing an ex-boyfriend.
And this is where the film could have taken a dark turn. Yeah, this is going to be when the movie turned into Fatal Attraction in Vienna. Yeah. But
yeah, you can kind of see where you think, oh, well, if these two did end up together, would it actually work? Like, would he end up getting bored? Would she end up getting crazy? You know, even though they're really reined in, I think, because obviously they're only together for less than 24 hours.
Right.
So
that's one of the things I love about this movie. It doesn't feel scripted. It feels found. I mean, you know, because early in the movie, it's established that there's a play that's going to happen at the end of the story. It's established that they've been invited to this play where this guy is playing a cow. Will you please go see our play? They grab, you know, they're given a program, and you figure, okay, this is going to be the climax of the movie. They're going to go see this play. This is definitely going to be something we see. And like life, they forget and they don't go.
Oh yeah, we forgot about.
Oh yeah, we forgot to see the guy's play. Yeah, and it's like, you know what? That's a real moment.
Yeah.
You know, I say this a lot. Like, a thing that drives me crazy in most movies is whenever a phone rings, it's always somebody who's important to the plot. There are no wrong numbers in movies. You ever notice that?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like this movie, it has all these moments that they feel found. They don't feel like contrived. It doesn't feel like we're on, you know, autopilot. The script has to have this. Even the elements of romance, like it's coming from character. It's not coming from the needs of a story.
Yeah. And then the scene, I love the scene with the palm reader lady. Yeah. So they're like, oh no, we've made eye contact. She's coming over here. And, you know, she reads Celine's palm. And Celine is obviously very moved by this moment because she says some really nice things to her. And then she leaves and he's basically like, wow, you just got swindled. And he's so cynical about it. And she like calls him out on it, you know, later on. And she's like, I didn't like that side of you, you know? So I like that about them, because even though I think they are putting on their best faces for each other, there are these moments where they're both like, hey, stop that. Yeah,
over the course of the night, they, you know, because they do have this, you know, it becomes this very lived-in relationship where, you know, not only are they comfortable with each other, but they're over time, they're kind of letting down this, you know, how we let our guard down on dates, and, you know, they're seeing each other for who they are.
Yeah. So then the big question at the end, I mean, I don't even know if it's a big question, but they kind of leave you hanging. Like, did they sleep together? Did they not? And
I love that you think that's a big question. Like, I don't know.
Well, because I remember talking about it the first
and
time.
the sequel tells, and yeah, it's funny that people, and it's okay, it's a valid question. I have a very romanticized, optimistic view of this film. It's like, for me, it's like, it doesn't matter what happens next. And I was okay. I mean, it was 10 years before we had a sequel.
Yeah.
I was okay with never knowing. Not only that, I was okay with the movie existing in the plane that it does. They have this one night where they get to have the most extraordinary romance of their lives, and it only lasts for a night, and they're aware of it, and they make amends with it, and, they're going to have to live with that. I love that. I was okay with there not being any sequels. I'm glad that there are, because I think it's become one of the greatest movie trilogies ever. I mean, I think the sequels are somehow even better, even though I think this is a perfect movie. But because
the question is, she says, I don't think we should sleep together.
Right.
And then he's like, I think we should. And then she's like, no, because then it's just like this, oh, you came to Europe and slept with a French girl. It's just so,
Yeah, they talk around it, and then they wind up, apparently.
I think they do, because she's not wearing her shirt the next morning.
Well, maybe it was warm. But in any case... No, but I mean, that also has, that has a lot to do with who they are, too, because there's a lot of moments where they talk around things that they eventually just kind of come clean about. I mean, the ending is really beautiful, too. They make a pact to get to it. They make a pact that they're not going to try to find each other. They're not going to continue this. They're just going to let this be one night. They stubbornly stick to it.
They make a pact, but then they get to the train station.
What, the last minute they break it? The last possible
they say,
second.
let's meet in 6 months.
Right.
Right here.
And it's funny because it's not like this really quick thing. It doesn't feel like something out of a Nicholas Sparks novel. They're desperate. They're like, how about 5 years? How about 5 years? How about 1 year? 1 year. And they establish, okay, it's 6 months, this spot, and they quickly pick dates, and they leave. And it's heartbreaking and it's beautiful. But the film does have, one of the reasons this film has always stayed with me is the final montage of all the places that they were at together.
Yeah.
I love that. And
kind of what they look like, just empty.
Yeah, because, and this about me too, like, places mean so much to me, and there are places I've been to, certainly after romances and breakups, where I would go to a place just to be like, to kind of remember the ghost of that relationship. You can almost feel the weight of the person, by sitting where you used to sit, or I remember when you and I were not together, but I had something for you long before we were actually dating, and there was that lake you and I went to that first time we took a walk together. Remember that? We had our own Jesse and Celine moment.
Yes.
And I used to go to that lake many times and think about, this is like where your dress was rippling in the wind while we were walking around here and talking.
Aww.
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, like, there's, so that part of the movie really resonates with me because, there are those places where you go there and you look at those spots and you think about those moments and you just kind of feel that ache in your heart of like, oh man, that's where that happened. That's where that conversation was. That beautiful moment that's, is gone.
You're clearly the way more romantic one.
This movie does speak to me. I mean, it's funny, while we were watching it, you're going like, are you Jesse? And, I think there's some truth to that. I mean, if I look at pictures of me in the 90s, yes, I did wear the jeans with the slashes, and I wore, the Soundgarden worthy T-shirts, and I did have,
yeah, but you were wearing
hair.
You were wearing Aloha shirt.
Yes, I was.
Jesse would never wear an Aloha
That's
shirt.
true. Yes, and if he would wear an Aloha shirt, it would be for irony, or Yeah. Right. Yeah. But no, I look at this movie and it's like it does make me nostalgic for that time. Not necessarily being young, just that sense of adventure. Like, I do love,
like before social media, when you couldn't just find people in 2 seconds.
Yeah, but also there is also that very somber is not the word, that kind of whimsical and sad thing about how prior to social media, when a person vanished,
cell phones,
when a person vanished, I mean, they're just gone. There are people I went to college with who I just, I never found them again. They went to other colleges, they dropped off, and that's it. And I never found them again. I have no idea, like, what happened to that person. Whereas, today it's like, I friended that person. Oh, okay, they're in Delaware. Okay, all right, cool, great. Oh, we're friends now, so I don't need to write them. I'm just, it's cool.
There's a picture of their sandwich. Cool.
Oh, okay, great. Oh, they got kids. Okay, well, I never need to write that person. I just look at his picture, as opposed to...
The mystery is gone.
Right, exactly. Not only the mystery is gone, but the desire is gone. It's like, oh, there's this picture. He took it this afternoon. Okay, so you don't even feel the need to, like, follow up, as opposed to, like, in the late 90s before Facebook... I mean,
and cell phones.
And cell phone. Yeah, when I would have to like, okay, I got to call this girl. So let's see, do I have enough quarters in my pocket? Yes. Like that kind of, yeah, it was, I do get nostalgic for that, not because I miss payphones, but like.
Well, you do miss payphones.
Well, I do because I'm weird that way. But no, I do get nostalgic for how much
effort it took.
How much the weight of relationships used to have. It used to be a more meaningful thing to keep in touch with people.
Agree.
When I'd write to someone, we still like to do like care packages and that kind of thing, but just like, people don't do this stuff anymore. People barely have the motivation to send postcards anymore, let alone like.
Yeah,
remember how I used to make you mixtapes?
Yes.
People don't do that anymore.
I know. Well, now you know
it's
when.
Like, I love you. Here's a Starbucks card. That's the world we live in. Here's an Amazon gift card. Happy anniversary.
Yeah, it's just in your email. It's not even in the mail.
Yeah.
But, well, I kept losing my train of thought. I was trying to interrupt you. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, but now you know who your true friends are. I think if you get a real phone call these days.
Yeah.
Dring, dring. Dring, dring. Pick up.
What?
Pick up the phone.
Hello?
Allô? Vanny, c'est Céline.
Ah,
Comment ça va?
ça va bien. Et toi?
Il m'est arrivé quelque chose d'incroyable.
I've been working on my English recently. You want to talk in English, just for laughs?
Yeah, okay. That's a good idea. I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it for lunch today. I'm sorry. I met a guy on the train and I got off with him in Vienna. We're still there.
Are you crazy?
Probably.
He's Austrian? He's from there?
No. He's passing through here too. He's American. He's going back home tomorrow morning.
Why'd you get off the train with him?
Well, he convinced me. I mean, actually, I was ready to get off the train with him after talking to him a short while. He was so sweet, I couldn't help it. We were in the launch car, and he began to talk about him as a little boy seeing his great-grandmother's ghost. I think that's when I fell for him. Just the idea of this little boy with all those beautiful dreams. He trapped me.
Mm-hmm.
And he's so cute. He has beautiful blue eyes, nice pink lips, greasy hair. I love it. He's kind of tall and he's a little clumsy. I like to feel his eyes on me when I look away.
Yeah.
And these two are talking about how, like, let's not allow kind of the routine of this because they've been through breakups that are painful. Like, let's not have this be a long-distance relationship that falls apart. Let's simply keep this together. And I love that because when this movie came out, the thing it reminded me more than anything was of this movie by David Lean called Brief Encounter. Brief Encounter, which I've shown to you, and I know you did not like Brief Encounter. It's just,
what if I like it now?
I don't think you would. I mean, it's two people. I think they're both married to other people, and they meet each other on a subway, and they just keep having these. Remember, they're in a subway station. They meet at the subway diner, and they're in love with each other. And it's like, let's meet each other next Tuesday, next Sunday, and it happens over and over and over again until they have to be like, we can't keep doing this. Or my heart is breaking, and it's devastating. But at the same time, morally, certainly when it came out, it's like, yeah, like she's married, she shouldn't be, having this emotional affair with this dude on a subway. Whereas we look at it today with a different idea. But yeah, I love Brief Encounter, and for me, this movie is like the youthful version of that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just that, young people trying to be very practical about something, but at the same time, it's like there's no way around how painful it is to be apart from someone that you're in love with.
Yeah. Yeah, and you feel it with these characters, for sure. Yeah,
it's crazy. I mean, I know it sounds very much like hyperbole to say, like, well, you're watching two people fall in love in real time. You do. Like, when they've got this long scene on a bus together and they're, kind of going over their past relationships and they're stealing all these glances at each other. It's like the chemistry between Hawke and Delpy is pretty amazing in this movie.
Yeah.
They're incredible. I liked her. She did this movie, I think it was called White for Kieslowski. It was part of the Colors trilogy, Three Colors trilogy. Anyway, this was the movie that really, after this, it's like I got to see everything she does. And Hawke is the man. I mean, he's always been the man. But it was cool. Like, he had done some like mainstream studio movies prior to this that just weren't working, and then he does this, and it's like this movie I think is one of those defining roles, because not only is it kind of the everyman, but like we feel everything this guy is feeling. I find him very relatable, and I think his performance just makes it like, oh man, like I feel it, man. Even when he's talking about the breakup that he went through, it's like, God, yeah, like this is, it's not only that the words are so good, it's that the actor is so good.
And did he write the script?
They wrote the script. It's funny, like they wrote the script together, and then when the sequels came out, they all have screenplay credit, because apparently they all just kind of sat around like, what happened to these characters, what's going on. So yeah, there was always this real collaborative spirit. And the rumor, I don't, and I hate to like throw a rumor out, but this isn't just an IMDb thing. I mean, they even said this in '95. Apparently Delpy and Hawk were seeing each other at one time, which makes a lot of sense.
I wouldn't
because,
be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, it's, if there's any truth to that, well, it's in the film. And if not, they're just great actors.
Yeah. Definitely.
And they decided to continue this relationship on screen. Every 10 years there's a sequel. So if there's another one, it'll be 2024.
Ooh, yes.
I'd be interested, but I gotta say the last one was so good. I mean, like I thought before Sunset, the one that came out in 2004, that's my favorite, and I thought it was one of the best films of that year. And before Midnight, thank you. I thought Before Midnight was also excellent. Yeah, if there's more story to be told, I'd be interested. Because the last one was like, not to spoil it for people who don't know these movies, but like the last one is about an ultimatum. Because obviously, if you get to the third movie, obviously they're still together, but then it is ultimately like,
are we
definitely gonna keep this going,
yeah.
or is this definitely the moment to break it off? So there's a lot of weight to that one.
Just after 20 years
Right.
of being together.
Because the second one, and I don't want to ruin it because it's so good, but the way they reunite them in the second one is really clever, very funny, and it feels again like very organic. It's not like the machine of the screenplay.
Oh, so then there's 10 years between the second and the third one.
Yes.
So yeah, there's about 10 years of life that happens before this ultimatum.
Yeah, but again, like I do like to stress to people, like when you watch this movie, don't think about sequels. Don't think about it being one of three. Just let this movie be, because for 10 years, that's it. Mm-hmm. For 10 years, I mean, this is how the story ended. And I know, obviously, that Linklater and everybody involved didn't see it that way, but like, for me, like there's a lot of meaning to be gained from a movie that knows so much about how hard this is. Because I've had I've had long distance relationships, and I've had those those romantic moments that just they disappear, and you're like, oh man, that was so amazing, I'll never get that back. And there's the movie recognizes how beautiful that time is. The movie is about in a weird way, it's about time travel, because they're always saying like taking pictures of these moments. They're talking about how you're always going to reflect on these moments when they happen, if you remember them, if you engage in them, if you're it's talking about how the beauty of recognizing how alive these moments are, and and how how much we thrive for these moments, we live for them.
Yeah. It really is so good. And I think previously, watching this as a younger person, I hated ambiguous endings.
Very much, you still do.
No, I think I'm more okay with them now.
Really? Ooh,
yeah.
I got some movies coming up here.
I think the older we get, the more we just realize ambiguity is a part of life, and it feels more authentic. And as a younger, maybe more, I don't know, Pollyanna type of person who has the whole world, you have your whole life ahead of you, and you think things are going to happen a certain way, you just kind of realize they don't happen a certain way.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think closure is honest at
closure,
all.
yeah.
Closure is so bogus to me. I mean, especially in love stories.
Yeah.
I gotta say, like, there's a movie, there's a movie that came out 4 years prior to this. It's my favorite love story. It's Dogfight with River Phoenix and Lily Taylor, directed by Nancy Savoca. Like, it's a very similar movie to this. It is about a date that lasts an entire night, and it ends up being everything that happens in this one night, and there's a lot of weight over what's going to happen after that night. And that is also a film that ends with a big question mark. In fact, even a more greater question mark than this movie. But I do love movies like that. There's not a lot of them. Most love stories, they end definitively. They are in love. They are married. Everything's gonna be great. You go home. It's good. They're fine.
Don't worry about them.
Don't worry about them. They're never gonna break up. It's always gonna be this good. Don't worry, folks. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think that maybe that can lead to people feeling so disappointed in their own love lives sometimes, because we do see all of these stories where they lived happily ever after. And then when, you know, your friend is in a bad relationship or goes through a divorce, I mean, you know, we're at the age where we have seen our friends get divorced, and it is so hard. And then you realize, okay, there's life after this. There's so much life even after all of those hard things. And it's okay when things just don't work out, or there is that big question mark. And I think that's probably why I'm okay with it now, whereas previously it was like, oh no, you say I do and that's it. Well, that's not always it.
Yeah, and we've been to a lot of weddings, and we've seen a lot of weddings become unweddings. And yeah, I mean, life is like that. It surprises you like that. But also, a thing about this film I love is that these are two people who are nursing their wounds, and, you know, which is something I relate to. This idea of two people who've been through bad relationships, and they wind up finding the love of their life after they've just like sunk to total bottom. There's a lot of truth to that too.
Yeah.
People always make, like in movies, like there's this magical incident that connects them and that becomes a thing. But no, like sometimes you just kind of accidentally meet the person who's perfect for you. Sometimes it takes a lot to get to that moment. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. I mean, we got together after we both had terrible breakups.
Terrible breakups with other people.
Terrible people.
Yeah, we were friends for a long time. Yeah, no, it's probably more Harry and Sally than it is Celine and Jesse, but no, I mean, you know, but no, I mean, I definitely, I don't know if I see a lot of myself in Before Sunrise, but it's a film I just looked at, and it did feel like going to a place I used to love visiting. It did feel like it did, and I've never been to Vienna, for the record. But yeah, it's the feeling of it.
Probably because you and I have really good conversations, and not just on our podcast.
Yes, thankfully this is not the height. This is
the only time.
Yeah, and after we turn this up, we don't talk to each other or nothing. Like, when are we going to do the next podcast? Because I can't stand the sun anymore. No. We've always had good conversations, and I think that's also, you know, the couples that we know have been together a long time. They're, you know, they have that.
Yes.
As opposed to, you know, the guys I know who are like, you know, they're hiding in their man cave and like, I think she's making dinner. I don't know.
Yeah.
those dream boats. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. I guess if you could have a different ending.
Different ending to this masterpiece.
Yeah.
I would end 4 shots. I would add 4 individual shots. So you know, the train peels away, and Jesse and Celine have decided they're not going to see each other for 6 months. Instead of going right to the you know, the montage of all the places where they used to be together, we would see Celine cross the street and get struck by a car.
Oh my
gosh! And then Jesse's train derails and falls into the Danube. And then the montage of all the places. So, like, this is great. So it's not only that it's like the greatest love of their life, but it's like it's gone. This is the highlight of their whole life,
definitive.
which then ends. Yeah, it's
Wow.
over. No sequels, folks. It's over. It's never going to get better than it did the prior night, because after sunrise, it's over.
Wow. You took it to a very dark place again.
Yes.
I'm noticing a pattern here.
Well, it's a perfect movie. I mean, obviously that would screw it up.
It would screw it up.
No, I think this is a sublime movie. I would use that word
You
to
have 4
describe
stars?
it. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Easily.
I would too.
Now,
yeah.
this is a filmmaker who I love. This guy. I mean, his prior movie was Dazed and Confused.
Yeah, Richard Linklater.
Richard Linklater, you know, who also, I mean, people know him from School of Rock, but like he did A Scanner Darkly, which I'm madly in love with. Waking Life. He did Boyhood with Ethan Hawke, which won Best Picture. I mean, I love this guy. I love his movies. He's always taking interesting chances, and you know, the fact that he's made a trilogy about 2 people in conversation.
Yeah.
You know, that's amazing.
It is amazing.
And these movies are good. The conversation is good.
The conversations
the
are
movies are
good.
great.
Yeah. I think if you haven't seen it, watch it. Watch it with yourself, or watch it with somebody that you know likes to have good conversations.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a conversation starter too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And maybe an aphrodisiac. So, you know.
Well,
you never know what could happen.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but yes. No, it is a romantic movie. But I'd say it's one of the best movie love stories, period. You know, people talk about like Audrey Hepburn movies and Julia Roberts movies. I think this beats them all. Because again, it's like there's nothing contrived about this film. Nothing feels like it's set to happen. It's one of these movies that feels like anything can happen. And it's not some big contrive. It's not like one point like, oh no, his wallet is stolen, or oh no, they got mugged, or, you know, some wackiness of, oh no, we have to, like, you know, talk our way into a hotel, like whatever it is. Like it's just a movie that just feels very real. It feels, you know.
I feel like it did happen. It feels like it actually happened.
I mean, it's a story they came up with, but obviously, I mean, if someone had said like, this is exactly what happened the night I met the love of my life, I'd be like, yeah, I believe it, because it feels, you know, like a piece of life. It doesn't feel like anything from a Hollywood machine.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you end it a different way?
No, I wouldn't.
You've seen all three. Do you remember which ones you like the best?
I really don't remember which one I like the best, but now I want to revisit them.
Yeah, we totally could. I've got the second one. I got to get the third one, but yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe the fourth
one
in
The only
2024.
thing I thought was going to happen, because I couldn't remember the ending, was I thought maybe he would have, like, ran back to her train for, like, one last kiss or something. But he didn't, so, you know. It might have been kind of sweet.
Or like one of those, like, stop the train! And he pulls the little cord. Stop the train! And he can't get the window open, so he just bursts out of the window.
Yeah. No, he doesn't do that.
No, he does not. Thank God.
But it would have been sweet if he had just, like, kind of showed up at her.
Man, that movie was so good until the last 5 minutes. The movie just... Yeah.
Yeah, no. It's too realistic for anything like that. So.
Yeah, and that's a nice thing about it. And these are two people I really like a lot, and I'm glad that we're able to revisit these characters.
And we
over
do
time.
root for them. You know, we root for them a lot.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I've taken a lot of long distance train trips in my life. You know, I took trips to Colorado to Nevada, Colorado to Ohio and California. Never met the equivalent of Julie Delpy on these trains, and I'm always looking for it. Never found it.
Never happened.
Never happened. No,
oh.
No.
I mean, I'm not sad that
Neither
never happened.
Neither
for
am I.
you. Just FYI, kind of glad.
Would have been the same thing. Like, it's 1998. Will you write? Or I'll give you my email address. Ooh, email. Isn't that cool?
AOL.
Do you got startup? Just ask Jeeves. You'll find me. It's cool. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up our conversation.
Yeah, we're clearly fans of this one. It's a great movie.
Before Sunrise.
Yes, from 1995.
Yes. All right. Thanks, everybody. I hope you'll check it out.
A lot.